Hi everyone, it's Darlene. Welcome back for another card video. Today's card has a little bit of a different edge because I cut around these flowers. I'm using the Mondo Sakura set by Ellen Hudson. I'm going to stamp it on some Nina cardstock and I'm going to line up those two right-hand flowers right up against the right edge of my MISTI and then center it up and down. I'm going to ink it up with some Memento Tuxedo black ink and then just stamp it down. It gives a really good impression. My big middle flower is going to be pink, and as I usually do, I have a methodology for each of the petals, so I'm going to do them all the same. So I'm going to take my darkest color, the RV04, I'm going to color the bottom of the petal and then the top of the petal, and notice that I flipped it over because I find that flicking upward is a lot easier. Now I'm taking my RV02, and the 04 and the 02 blend really, really well. I love these two colors together. And I'm just going to flick upward a little bit more toward the center at the bottom, and then I'm going to flick again upward because I flipped over my paper and get toward the middle. So I'm going to also do the sides, you can see. So by the time I get to RV00, it's just kind of a big circle in the middle. And I'm going to finish that in, and I'm not actually coloring it that much. I'm leaving a little tiny bit of white. Now for the next step, I'm going to take a new color. It's a dark one, RV09. It's a super dark color. And I'm just going to highlight just a tiny little bit at the bottom and then on some of the sides. Not all of them, so not all the way around, but it just kind of adds a little bit of dimension to it. And then I'm going to move back in with my RV04 to blend that, and then the RV02, and then I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm not going to go back to the RV00. I'm adding an extra step to make these flowers look more textured. This is a Carmine Pink Inktense pencil. You can use pretty much any colored pencil. And I'm going to flick upward from the bottom, and I'm going to use a motion such that I get thin lines and thick lines, dark lines, and light lines. So I'm using kind of a blunt edge on the tip of my pencil here so that I don't get any really sharp marks. And I'm going to make sure that I go all the way through that middle portion that's kind of almost white. And I think this gives it a really nice, realistic, textured vein look for my petals. Now I am going to repeat this process on all 5 of these petals. And it took me, I want to say, about an hour total to color all of these and finish the card. So the whole card is about an hour. But I'm going to go ahead and fast forward this. I'll put the music on. And you can sit back, relax, and watch me finish this pink flower. I'm going to move on to these yellow flowers, but I wanted to show you that I felt like a line was missing on this flower. So I took one of my micron pens and I just sort of finished out this petal here at the bottom, and I felt like that completed the flower. So for this flower and the rest of the flowers, I'm using yellows, Y17 at the bottom and around the edge, same thing at the top, and I'm just going to flick upward. Then I'll fill in with the Y15 and then finally with the Y11. So I'm doing the same thing that I did with the pink flowers. These yellow flowers are much smaller than that pink flower, so I'm not going to get quite as much variation in shade. But I am going to do the same thing, cadmium orange. So I'm using a color that's a little bit darker than my Copic markers. And it's a little hard here because you have to avoid, oh, by the way, I forgot to tell you, I'm also avoiding all those little dots, which can be a little tedious, but it really actually wasn't that hard to do. So I'm just gonna flick upward at the bottom, at the top, and get that same look that I have on the pink flowers. Okay, so I'm gonna finish off all of these yellow flowers. I'm gonna speed it up and you can watch it, and I'll be back in just a second. All right, that finishes the yellow flowers. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to color the center of the pink flower with the Y15, my middle yellow color that I used on the yellow flowers. And then I'm going to color the middle of the yellow flowers, RV09, which is that darkest color that I used on the pink flowers. And that way I tie these flowers together. I forgot to turn the camera back on when I did these leaves and stems. I just used YG25 and YG21. Just kind of use those two in combination on each piece. All right, now for all of these circles here, I'm going to color them with the YG25. So I just sort of skipped over that because it's just basic coloring. All right, now I'm going to work on my sentiment. It's from the Totally Random Saying set, another set by Ellen Hudson that just came out. This is Marvelous in script, so I'm going to white emboss it on black paper. I'm going to have some black on the right side of my card, so I wanted to balance it out with a little bit of black on the left side. So I'm just drawing 2 lines with a ruler and my micron pen on the left edge of these flowers. Now I'm going to take my T-square and I'm going to figure out where I want to cut this. So where these 2 flowers meet right here is the perfect place where I can kind of get a lot of those flowers off the edge but not have to do too much cutting. So I'm going to draw a straight line down the side where there are no flowers. So everything on the right side of this line will be cut out. The U and the R stamps come from the same set. I'm going to stamp them in VersaFine Black Onyx. And then I'll put some tape runner on the back of my Marvelous and put it right underneath there. Now remember, I drew this line. I need to see it from the back, so I'm just going to make that same mark on the other side of my cardstock. And that way I know where to put my tape runner. So I'm going to make sure I have behind my flowers all taped because that's going to be sticking to the base card of my card. And then I'll go around the 3 sides up to that pencil mark. I'm adhering this to a Nina Solar White card base. Now do not do what I'm doing here. I accidentally closed the card and now I'm cutting my entire card base. I'm only supposed to be cutting the front panel. So I realized this and I thought, oh my gosh, but then I realized that I'm going to cover it up anyway with the black cardstock. So I just carried it on and just opened it up and cut just that front side of the card. Now I'm going to measure my black strip and you can see that I am going to cover that cut line. So I'll run that through the trimmer, put some tape runner on it, and then adhere it to the inside of my card. And that is the card for today. So I think this black strip really makes those flowers stand out even more. So I hope you enjoyed that and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.